Hello.
Hi, Emily.
Today we have Terry with us, and Terry and I have met on social media. And I once I learned her story, I knew that the world needed to hear this story. It's amazing. So, Terry, just go ahead and start telling us what your life was like before you started eating carnivore.
Boy, yeah. I, I got to a point where it was a mess. My health, I was up to 325 or more pounds. Um, High blood pressure, psoriatic arthritis, damaged disc in my back, heart disease. I had actually had a heart attack at 53, just before I started into changing my eating. Just a mess. Suicide attempts galore, on drugs to the point of feeling like a zombie most of the time. But even as bad as all of those things were, I think the worst was I became agoraphobic. My panic disorder progressed to the point where I literally couldn't take a step out the door. My bowels would immediately empty. But it built up slowly. It built up over a number of years. You go out and suddenly maybe a little uncomfortable with a big crowd, and it's just a little niggle in there in your gut. But then it would progress to the point where now I'm getting into these big crowds or even big family gatherings. But if it was a public place, where are the exits? I must know where the exits are. Then it sort of flipped, and it was like coming along, and then where are the bathrooms? I need to know where the bathrooms are immediately, because going to an exit, you still have to get to your car, or I needed to get to the bathroom very quickly. And needless to say, it progressed to the point where it just got worse and worse and worse, because every bad incident where you just barely escaped, you got out of there, or you got to the bathroom on time, just made me so nervous and so panic stricken at the thought of being in that situation again, that it got to the point I literally couldn't step out my own front door. I'd be all ready. I'd have hope. I'd be praying and trying to relax and doing it all. And I'd get all ready, while women take it a little more than throwing on a t-shirt like our hubbies sometimes. But, get all ready and go to take that step out the door. And it's like, go ahead, kids, go ahead, dad, hubby, I can't make it. I can't. Or I'd get to a function earlier before it progressed to that point and have to turn right around and come home. I would try, I'd get there. And that was horrible. And I'd say the most severe part of it lasted a good 10 years. I get built up 5 to 10 years. I can't even keep track of that. And, going to psychiatrist and all the medications. No, it still progressed to the point where I was just like a prisoner, no chains or bars, but the situation. So that was the loneliest time of my life. It was unbelievable. I wouldn't wish that on anybody on the planet ever.
No, and I think it's really important for people who don't understand is that it was involuntary.
Yeah.
It was not something that you could just, muster up the will to step outside the door. It was involuntary that your bowels would evacuate.
Oh,
involuntary.
Yeah. And that was just, you just can't go out and have that chance. How many roadsides can your husband stop at quickly so you can run and find a bush, and it became just an impossible situation. And this is why I still can hardly believe what a difference changing diet can make. If you had told me this 15 years ago, I'd be okay, No, I had no idea at all that diet could make such a difference.
So how long ago did you change your diet?
It was late 2010. Sometimes I round it up and just say January 2011. It just seems it's easier to count the years. So yeah, about 11 years ago. Yeah, it honestly felt like do or die. I really thought, and I've been actually the opposite of a hypochondriac. My doctor gave me heck once because I didn't go see him enough. I was never, but something said to me, you're going to die very soon if you don't make a change. And I couldn't do that to my kids. To me, the most shameful way to die, not through accident or some unforeseen, disease that happened to be in your family blood or something like that, but a preventable illness to me was the most shameful. I did not want to be in bed as a 300-pound diabetic with a foot amputated, and I'm on my way out and my family's looking at, what a shame. She could have, fixed this, but she just couldn't. I couldn't go that way. I couldn't go. I had to give it one last shot.
What kind of things were you eating then before?
Not as horrible. Well, I mean, obviously bad enough to get up to 325 pounds. And of course, there was little to no activity. I was housebound at this point with the agoraphobia. So it's not like I was in the house running on this. I gave up on life. The depression, everything was just like, okay, life has just gotten too much. And there was a lot of abuse as a kid. So I think it just added up, over the years. I was just done. But I believed in this 6 to 11 whole grains a day and all that food pyramid. So I thought, and fruits and vegetables and some meat, I always liked meat. But obviously there were big bags of chips and, the desserts, anything that was around that was sweet would call my name. And there were other family members who would, even if I was on a diet, they would, sometimes like their things. And I'd get into that, couldn't be trusted around it. But yeah, just the standard, the standard American diet, and I was on the diet roller coaster since I was 9 years old. And so that, you lose it, gain back an extra 10, 20 pounds. And the silliest thing, I know there's a huge area of controversy about whether you should weigh yourself or not. When I threw my scale away, I gained a massive amount of weight. I'll never do that again, but I totally understand. I've read every description of people who don't believe in weighing themselves, and I'm like, good for you, but I need that accountability, or at least I definitely needed it before. So got a new scale, started actually with low carb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read Protein Power by Michael Eads. I can't even remember because of all the medication I was on, the heavy brain fog. I don't even know how I got that book in my hands. It could have been through the library, an ebook. I can't even remember, but that was the spark I needed.
Wow.
I don't know what it was, but I must have been just ready. That was the spark I needed. So I got into the whole low carb and started looking up groups online. But like so many people have said, it wasn't enough. It cleared up some things. Definitely, anybody on low carb, good for you. It's going to take you a long way. But I turned out to be one of the ones who needed the real, no plants and no sugar, no dairy, none of that. I realized that. And I think being postmenopausal and 65 played a little role in that. It was very hard to lose after the initial big, huge water weight and all that comes off when you're very heavy and into the big carbs. Yeah, but then I started looking at carnivore sites, and even then I didn't jump in right away. I didn't think they're crazy, but I thought, wait, this just, that brainwashing was still very stuck in my head, that we've been brainwashed by, fruits and vegetables that have this halo around them. And that's what you should always base your main diet on. Then to find out it's the exact opposite for me and many others, that no, that stuff is what was holding you back. That was what was triggering all your autoimmune disorders and inflammation and just making you feel lousy all the time, and the indigestion and the bloating and even the IBSD, which I see back in, I'm wondering if that also played a role in the agoraphobia, that I didn't even know what IBSD was. I didn't even know. So maybe I was feeling that as I was trying to get out the door and be social, you know what I mean? And that may very well have caused me to be stuck at home too. I don't know if it was all emotional too. I'm sure it's all connected anyway. So,
well, yeah, and also the mental health. I think that we don't realize what vegetables we react to until we remove them, and then do our own experiment.
You're absolutely right.
So you noticed a difference. Did it take a while? Was it
not with carnivore? With the low carb, I started to see improvements mostly in the digestion first, but I still had some depression for sure and anxiety. Now that eased off. I don't know if it's because I felt better about myself or because the digestion and everything helped the IBSD a little. I was able to start getting out more. So that was wonderful. And that success built on other success there. But it wasn't until I completely cut out everything. And I think it was Jordan Peterson too, who he had got to the point where, as you know, he was carnivore except for a tiny bit of green salad. He was still eating a little green. And he kept feeling anxious every morning when he'd wake up, and he thought, I wonder, could it really be that tiny little bit of green salad on the side or whatever? I thought, okay, I'm going all the way. I'm going to jump right in, and that's it. I'm going to try carnivore. And that's when the magic really started to happen. It really did. No more antidepressants, no more anti-anxiety, no more anything like that. Did
it take a few weeks? Did it take a month?
Maybe because I went from low carb to very low carb, at least, probably 3-4 years. Again, I could be foggy on time. So if you ever see me talking somewhere else, it might be a little different, but foggy on time. But then I went very low carb, which was to me less than 10 grams a day of carb. So that's very low. And then I saw a lot of changes as soon as I jumped into the carnivore, as far as it just, like with Jordan, took care of that last bit of the anxiety and the depression, etc., for the mental health part. And other things started to get better, though. My skin, I still have issues if I mistakenly ever eat a bit of cheese or any dairy. Excuse me, but yeah, it cleared up a lot of issues. I had chronic hives. I had the rosacea. Well, I had psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis, both. So I had the skin issues as well as, nail grooves and the stiffness and whatnot. The carnivore was the final step. I'm like, okay, as long as I know the truth about myself, that my experiment said, you need to be this way. Other people might be able to have that bit of plant matter or fruits and whatever on the side. Not you. You need to do this. And I was more than happy because it was the truth. It's like a big beam of light. This is the truth for you. Here's your answer that you've waited your whole life for.
Yeah. And I know because I see you on social media, posts and stuff, but what has it been like as far as you getting out of the house now?
Oh, that's my family looks at me and they're like, geez, what a difference. They're like, have you had enough yet? Are you outside enough? Yeah, no, complete difference. It was like being let out of prison. It felt, I can imagine how good that must feel for somebody getting out of prison. That's how I felt. Like, I almost couldn't believe it, though. I did carry one of my tranquilizers around with me in my purse for the first little while, just as a little security blanket, just in case, because I didn't want to ruin an outing that I was so happy to be out with my family or whoever, friend. And yeah, I kept it. And they would practically turn to powder after a while. Like they stayed in there so long. I was just, okay, I don't think I need to do this. And now I don't have to carry anything with me, which is to me a miracle. It really is like a miracle, the difference for that part of it, especially.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so, you know, I think it's probably pretty clear, but are you tempted to go off and like have a piece of cake or, you know, have some vegetables?
No, I've been playing around now. It'll be 4 years in next month in June for me as a carnivore, and I wouldn't budge for a birthday, Christmas, any occasion. I would not deviate from my meat only. I think my family was incredibly supportive, but there were times I'd catch a look from my daughter, almost a sympathetic look, like, oh, you don't want any more, you don't want to try this little, and never ever anybody pushed. I'm really proud of them for that. But I just sensed something. I thought, am I being too rigid? Is this going to blow up in my face? I didn't know for sure. You know, we know ourselves better than anyone. And even though I knew people, many carnivores who never, ever deviated, no matter what the circumstances, I wasn't sure if I was sabotaging myself. So I made this little rule. Okay, you can have whatever you want at Christmas. Like, that doesn't mean a free-for-all pig out in any way, but I thought, I'll pick one item and allow myself to have a bit of that and see. And I just started that this year just to play around with it. Because I had reached my goal weight last January 2021. So now I was into maintenance. And I wanted to, I guess, test the waters a little bit, you know, have that little small square of dessert or that glass of wine with the dinner. And I can't say that, I mean, it didn't make me feel great, that's for sure. Did not make me feel good. And I'd feel kind of mentally sluggish and kind of down, but I didn't know, again, is that because I made an exception and now I'm down on myself? Or is that genuinely, true depression hitting me? So I was still working that out, and I'm not sure I want to do that again, but I wanted to try it to see if on a couple special occasions I could let myself have a little something. And I'll keep playing around with it and see. I actually, for the first time in my life, this has never happened. When I was approaching my goal weight, I got to my goal weight and then I overshot it and lost 4 more pounds. And I actually worried for the first, I'm like, oh no, I need to stop losing weight. I don't want to get too thin because I don't like, the look of being too thin for me. And I had to laugh at myself. I'm like, are you hearing yourself? You're worried that you're losing too much weight for the first. So yeah, I had to adjust that. And then I overshot a couple pounds above. So I've been still playing around with the amounts for maintenance for about a year now, just I had to add an extra fat and, whatnot. And I added an extra meal too, because I was doing OMAD, which worked fantastic for me. But then I thought maybe I should just eat in response to true hunger. So I feel like I'm testing different things, but staying very close and very tight to carnivore, but just testing things a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, and I think that's important for us to maintain that communication with our body and our mind to know where we're at, because honestly, things change.
They do.
Change as we age, and things change when we're at a different weight.
Yes.
So I think that that's really important. So total, how much weight did you lose?
200 pounds. It could be more though. It's 200 or more, because I stopped weighing, my one scale only went up to 300 anyway. And then I got weighed, I think at like a doctor's scale. It was like 325, right around the time I thought I need to my God, change things. So I stopped weighing after that. So who knows if it got a little higher, but roughly 325, and I'm just barely 5'2". So it's, yeah, the difference is massive as far as everything. Even my heart, like after the heart attack, I had the damage was visible apparently, and it's somehow reversed. I didn't even know if that could happen in heart, but I'm sure somebody out there who knows their cardiology better than I do say, oh no, eventually you can heal if you're healthy enough. But yeah, even that healed, and the damaged discs in the back, everything, the weight really did make a difference on the stress of my heart, and in the back, everything, just amazing physical changes as well. The one that really got me, because of the all the drug use, the medications, and even that was my method of when I was suicidal too. Just this one anesthesiologist, she said, you should have needed a liver transplant. She says, you are so lucky. So my liver was in very, very bad shape, but my last set of blood, it was actually below what the average is for like the optimal range. My doctor was, he said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And what were you doing before? Yeah, it just amazing things we find out when we get into
so amazing. And what I love about that is that nature has grace, and at any age, because Terri, you are beautiful. How old are you?
65. I just turned 65 in January.
Nature has grace. Like I hear so many times people say, well, I'm too old, or it's gone too far or whatever. And I'm like, no, like there's still hope. There's still room for healing.
Absolutely, yes. Well, I was over 60 when I became a carnivore. If you want to look at it that way. Yes, I was doing the low carb for a while before that, but I was over 60. So yeah, that's it is, because I believed all that stuff too. Oh, forget it. When you get into menopause and you're postmenopausal, you better expect to put on weight. I never heard that you can stop it. I heard, oh, well, be prepared. You're going to be gaining weight and everything. And I saw lots of friends and relatives. Yeah, they're menopausal, and this is the first time I've seen them maybe be overweight. So I thought it was a given too. The best part of this whole community, this whole thing, one of the best things too, is learning the truth. Learning the truth about things. No, there isn't a target, like there isn't a set point absolutely etched in stone, because I'm 10 pounds less than when I met my husband 40 some odd years ago.
Wow.
Okay. So no, the set point thing, maybe there is one, but it must be broad. If you can go below it at 65 years old, there has to be. And hearing things like there's no such thing as an essential carb. Oh, wow. Was that mind blowing? I can't even think of anything that blew my mind more right now than that. There's no such thing as an essential carb. Your body can make all the glucose it needs on demand without taking in a single carb. That I'm still blown away. As you can see, I cannot believe that. But it's true.
Yeah. And I mean, and we're taught that fat is bad. We're taught that we need fiber to poop. We're taught, vegetables are good and essential. And so, yeah, maybe that works for some people, but
yes.
For people who are metabolically and mentally ill,
yes,
we have to have this ability to get down to the basics, to just eat animal meat and animal fat and heal.
Yes, absolutely. And it has proven itself out very well. It's proven itself true. I can still hardly believe. I mean, I love that even 4 years later. I mean, if you want to count the low carb years since 2011, I'm still blown away by all of it. And it just, that part has not sunk in 100%. It has, but not to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, right. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not casual about it. I'm still blown away and truly amazed by
Yeah.
this.
And tell me also, do you enjoy your meals now?
Oh, yes, very much. You know, people, the one common question, I totally understand it, is don't you get bored? Don't you get bored of just eating beef every day and sometimes chicken and fish, you know, this and that. But I'm like, unbelievably, no. When I used to be on the diets where you had to eat the skinless chicken, oh, I'd be tired of choking that stuff down by day 3 at least. Even now, I can't eat pork or chicken or fish day after day after day. Somebody did even a ground beef challenge. Now that's weird because it's beef, but for me, I couldn't. I'll get a cheap roast or something, you know, roast beef, good quality, but you know, the cheapest cut. I don't care if it's tough; it's a good jaw workout. But yeah, certain things I cannot eat every day. Beef is the only thing I can eat every single day, and it still tastes delicious. I'm like, oh, yes. I don't even understand that. I don't know how every other food, when I was an omnivore, even my most favorite dishes, you know, I used to love chicken salad, for example, or shrimp salad, anything with mayo and, you know, that kind of stuff in it. And I get sick of it after 2 days. That was my rule. I can't eat this beyond 2 days. It just, it's like I'm choking it down. So if I had leftovers, I'd freeze it or something like that and do something different with it. Not so with beef. Beef, I can eat every single day and I never get tired of it. I'm not even sure why that is, but I don't care. It's just, that's the way it is. Yeah. My body loves it. It needs it. Period. That's how I see it. Mm-hmm. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I'm the same way. That first bite every morning, I I make like an audible noise and my
Me
eyes
too.
roll back in my head. I'm like,
Me
oh,
too.
oh,
Same
so
with
good.
me. I'm glad to hear other people do it too. I thought I might be a little weird here. No, not at
My
all.
family thinks I'm weird. They're like,
Yeah.
you ate the same thing every day. Why are you that excited? I'm like, I don't know. It's just so good. I'm just so happy.
But I think it tells us that is what our body is craving too, though. You know, above the chicken and the other little things we sometimes have because we think we need variety or something, or I don't know why I do it. I just happen to like chicken wings once in a while that have been baked, you know, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And I honestly, I see it as true food freedom
Yes.
because I'm not controlled by anything. Like
Mm,
truly have this freedom to
yeah.
just love the food that I eat
Yeah.
and not be tortured by what's my next meal going to be. And
That was
and
so
I
true.
can't wait till I can have this special dish and this and that and
Me
it's
too.
almost like you're controlled by food. And now
Oh, I
it's just like
was.
food freedom.
Yes, it is. I remember when before all of this, I'd be eating a meal, getting very full, and I'd be planning what I was going to have next, or I couldn't wait for something sweet after. Um, I'd be eating and thinking about my next meal. That's crazy. Now it's like when I stop, that's it. When I'm full now, I go about my life. I'm not tormented. I felt like I was tormented by thoughts of food 24/7, all except for when I was sleeping, and maybe I dreamt about it too. I don't know. Really, you're right. Food freedom is huge. And the simplicity of it too is wonderful.
Mm.
That's one of those nice little bonuses that, you know, even if it was hard to obtain, we'd still do it. But it's so easy. You go to the grocery store, you barely need a buggy unless you're loading up on a big sale of beef. You know, you just go in, you get your meat out, you know, or I try to get grass fed when I can, if I can afford it. I wait for sales there too, because there is a nice grass fed place in the city I live near. So, but yeah, you go in the store, you pick up your meat and off you go. You know, you cook it, you eat, you're done. I used to beg my family, literally beg. I said, I will cook anything you guys want, but I've got to have ideas. I can't take this. having to come up with new combinations every day of the week. Oh, well, I had served chicken with green beans and roasted potatoes yesterday. I certainly can't do that again for another week. I begged them for ideas, and they'd even give up after 2 or 3. I'd put a list on the fridge. Put your recipe ideas. I don't care if it looks like a menu, and you just get it up there, and I'll cook it. No, they even gave up after 3 days. I can't think of anything. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. It's funny.
Yeah, there was a new mom at my work, and she, newly married, has a baby, and she came into work one day and she goes, "Nobody told me." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "I have to think of, plan for, and cook dinner every day for the rest of my life."
Yeah.
Every single day. And I was like,
it's true though. Who thinks of that before they get married? Nobody that I know anyway. But once you're in it, you're like, and your kids, same thing. When you have kids, oh my God, I've got to make sure they get their nutritious balance. It was awful. That part I am so happy to be free from. I love the simplicity of it. Yeah, it's wonderful.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Terri, thank you so much. I can't even begin to imagine how many people are going to be encouraged and blessed by your story. And thank you for being transparent, because I think it's so easy to come from that pit of mental illness hell and just go, okay, I'm out, But
Yes.
to go back and revisit these thoughts and this conversation just shows me your true healing, that you are so removed from that you want to go back and help others.
Oh, well, I'm so grateful for people like you, though, Emily. Seriously. No, because you are enabling me and you're to get those words out there. But also, I feel inspired by you being able to talk about it, because you're right. I did feel that way. Like, I'm out of this, and oh, that's enough. Even when I hit my goal weight for a little while, I avoided even the carnivore community for a bit. Not like I'm done with this no, it was just, I felt like I had done these huge exams, I think, these long exams. And then I went right for my postgraduate and then doctorate or something. And I wanted a break, but I found myself having to come back and get that inspiration again. And I started watching your videos again and your interviews and other people's. And it's like, don't ever feel like you're totally 100% okay without this community again. Because I did feel a slight difference, a bit of a disconnect, and your mind starts playing those little games. I loved what you said, and I think your interview with Brett Lloyd, when you said that's the addictive mind looking for a loophole. Yep. Oh, now I wouldn't have heard that if I didn't come back and start listening to the interviews again. That's a good one. I love that, because it does look for loopholes. And that's also what I've been working on, as I said, with the Christmas stuff and birthday cake and things like that. Those are loopholes, and I'm very cautious now about that. So thank you for that. Thank you for your transparency too.
Oh, no problem. No problem. And, it's a slippery slope.
It is.
And
it really
what you, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so I think that's honestly, if I'm going to be totally transparent, that's the reason that I do these videos. That's the reason that I have my Saturday food support group for others, but just as much for me.
Yeah, I can see that now.
I bring it to the surface of my mind to remember why I'm doing this, and that I'm never going back. I'm never going back. And I want it to be for people like a one-way valve, where, I think so much with dieting, it's like, oh, I go this way and then I come back, and I go this way and I come back, and I go this way. But I want it to be a one-way valve where that's it. You're not
never
going back. You're never going back to where you were.
Why mess with perfection anyway? Perfection, to me, this is the perfect diet for me. I try to remember to say that to people, because like you said, some people can handle more, but yeah, I never can imagine going back, but I never want to get cocky either and think, oh, well, I don't need to be part of the community anymore. I don't want to hear other people's struggles because maybe it'll trigger my old pain. No, put your truth out there, listen to others' truth, and keep moving forward. Yeah, there's a whole psychological thing that goes along with this as well. So I'm working on that inner love and, inner peace stuff too. So getting more in touch with my spiritual side again. I was almost extremely devout at one time, then totally gave it all up. Now I'm back, and oh, it feels heavenly, wonderful.
And I've
Yeah.
noticed a different ability to enter into that spiritual connection whenever my brain is cleared, you know.
Yes. Yes.
And that's really cool to
Oh
be
yeah, I
able
feel
to.
like I was messed up in a sense on religion, not spirituality. I had to make that distinction. So yes, it's wonderful. I just
Awesome.
feel like I've still got more to learn, and I'm going along, and I'm so grateful again for people like you who speak out and give us a platform as well. So
No problem. Well, the healing continues, and I'm so
yes,
thankful to call you friend.
yeah,
And
likewise.
I can't wait to hear about all the people that get to hear this video and that their lives are changed. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Emily. Take care. Have a wonderful day.